Hey guys, I wanted to take a minute and I had some questions on the Z-score, um, Z-score empirical rule stuff that was on your assignment from this week. So let's take a look at this sheet and then share the screen. And I'm going to pull up. All right, so let's look at number 6. And I need to make sure you have your Z-score sheet, which I don't even think we need that for this one. So the empirical rule talks about how many standard deviations you are from the mean. So if you are one standard deviation away from the mean, that means that you are, I think it was what, 67% away from the mean. And then if you are 2 standard deviations away from the mean, 68%, excuse me. So let me share. All right, let's see. All right, so think about it here. Here's your mean. If you are 1 standard deviation away from the mean, you're 68%. You fall within 68%, okay? If you're, this is 1 standard deviation. If you are 2 standard deviations, you fall within 95%. Okay, so that's 2 standard deviations. And then if you're 3 standard deviations, you fall within 99.7%. Okay, so that's important to know when you're doing these problems. So this first problem says that you, the scores were distributed normally with a mean of 70 and a standard deviation of 5. So that means that we start here in the middle at 70. And if we go 1 standard deviation, you add 5 this way. And if that's 1, okay. If you go 2, you add 5 more. If you go 3, you add 5 more, so that's 85, okay. And if you go this way, that's 65, that's 1 standard. 60, that's 2 standards. And then 55, that's 3. All right, so if you fall within from here to here, that means you fall within 68% because that's 1 standard deviation. If you fall between here and here, that's 2 standard deviation, which means it's 95%. And if you fall between 55 and 85, you fall between 99.7. So this says, look at the percentages from 65 to 75. So what percentage of scores? Well, that's 1 standard deviation, which means 68% of people fall within that. What percentage from 60 to 70? All right, so we're just looking at this percentage, okay? And if we think about it, this is 2 standard deviations, right? But it's only half because we also have this half, okay? So what you would have to do is you would have to take your 95, which we know is 2%, 2 standard deviations, and we're only doing half of that. So we would divide 95 divided by 2, and that would be 47.5%. Okay, what percentage of scores are between 60 and 85? Okay, so we went all of this, which I just did. Okay, that's 47.5%. That's half. Okay, this half. And then this one goes all the way to 85, which we know is half. This is 3 standard deviations. Okay, and remember, 3 standard deviations is 99.7%. Okay, and we're doing half of that because we're just doing this side. So divided by 2. And 99.7 divided by 2 is going to be 49. So this is going to be 47.5 plus 49.85. Okay, because again, we're doing this half, which is 47.5, and then all of this. So we have to add those 2 together. So that's going to be 47.5 plus 49.85. It's going to be 97.35%. Okay, so that was from 60 to 85. All right, what percentage scores is less than 55? Okay, so we want less than 55, all right? So here's 55, and we want less than this, okay? Well, so we need to think about this whole thing here, all right? And we know that from here to here is half of 3 standard deviations, right? So I'm talking about if I do, we're looking at from here, all of this, right? And we know that half of this, if we go all the way, is 50%. So think about on a normal curve, right? Here's a normal curve. Half of this part is 50%, and half of this part is 50%. So that kind of helps us. So we want to know just this little piece right here, right? And we're looking at 3 standard deviations. So again, remember 3 standard deviations from here to here is 99.7. So if we think of half of that, 99.5 divided by 2 is 49.75. And remember, the total of this is 50. So what we would do is we would subtract those. So 50 minus 49.75 is going to give you 0.25%. Okay. If we're looking at the percentage score greater than 80, so let me erase this. Okay. We want greater than 80. We want this part right here, and that goes to 2 standard deviations, okay? So remember, and we're looking at this half. Remember, 50% of it is this half right here, okay? So 2 standard deviation is 95%, and we want half of that. So 95 divided by 2 is 47.5. And so we want what's left over, and so we subtract those. So 50 minus 47.5 is going to be 2.5%. Approximately how many students are between 60 and 70? So from here to here, okay? Again, this is 2 standard deviations, and we're only doing half of it. 2 standard deviations is 95, and so we would do 95 divided by 2, and that's going to be 47.5. And then the last one is 55 and 60. We want just between these two, okay? So this one's a little bit more difficult. You would have to take from 55 to 70, you would have to take this amount and then subtract it from 70 to 60, okay? So we would do 3 standard deviations, half of that, which is 99.7 divided by 2, and then we would subtract it from 2 standard deviations, which is 95, and divide that by 2, okay? Because we're only looking at half. So think about it, you take this whole part, and then you subtract this part, and that leaves you with that. Okay, so 99.7 divided by 2, this is going to be 49.85 subtracted by 95 divided by 2, which is 47.5. And then what's left over is our answer. And that's going to be 2.35%. Okay. All right, I hope this I know these are a little bit difficult. I hope this kind of helped you with empirical rule a little bit more. And let me know if you have any more questions. Thanks. Bye.